Hi, everyone. Welcome to Domain Sherpa. We've got a great Domain Sherpa review coming up today with Josh, Amar, and Drew. As usual, we play the domain game, and this time we've got ImmersiveInsights.com, BlockChat.io, and Spill.com. And then we've got the NameJet Gonna Jet segment, sponsored by NameJet, and we talk about some domains coming up for auction, such as AlphaServices.com, OsteoHealth.com, and Pest.org. And then we get into some macroeconomic trends and the potential impact on domain names, .io versus .xyz is an alternate extension to .com, and we dig in a bit on the use of payment plans with domain sales. And remember, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you can also watch the video version at DomainSherpa.com and on our YouTube channel at ds.tv. We now have all the past episodes there, so you can dig into the largest library of domain-related podcast content in the world for free. You can also check us out on Apple and Spotify and some of the other podcast platforms as well. And as usual, big shout out to Dan.com, the number one place in the world to buy and sell your domains, with a special platform made for domain investors. All right, well, with that, it's now time to get into this episode of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. So let's go. What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Jay On, a.k.a. Sherpa Winfrey, and I am the host and producer of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today's show is the Domain Sherpa Review, where we get into the minds of successful domain investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become more successful domain name investors ourselves. These are the experts, the best in the biz. Believe that. If you don't know, now you know. There are 4 segments to a Domain Sherpa review. We've got number 1, the grand opening. That's where I intro the Sherpas, see what's going on with them, talk about some related things, some unrelated things. We'll see what we get into today. Segment 2 is the domain game. That's where we hear about what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Everybody guesses. We keep score, and we give out some swag to the winner. Swag has actually been going out. People got it. You wouldn't know because
I still don't have mine.
They're still not rocking it. You didn't get yours yet? Oh, man. All right. All right, hold on. We're going to address that. We're going to address that. Billy, send him some swag. Do something. Do something, Billy. Segment 3 is NameJet Gonna Jet, sponsored by our friends at NameJet. That's where we review a list of domains coming up for auction, talk about what the Sherpas like and what they don't like. And then we finally wrap it up with segment 4, which is the grand closing. We discuss anything we haven't covered already, what's going on in the domain space, looking at the market trends, current events, allowing our guests to mention, promote anything that we want to talk about, they want to talk about that we haven't already discussed. So with that, let's go ahead and introduce the Sherpas. Over to my right, I got my boy Josh Reason, a.k.a. Bjorn Borg, a.k.a. Harry Kane, a.k.a. Secretariat, a.k.a. the Triple Crown, a.k.a. the voice of reason, a.k.a. Josh Reasonable Doubt, which is Jay-Z's best album, and I will fight anybody that says otherwise, except Jigga himself, because, hey, you know what I'm saying? But what's up, Josh, man? How you living, man?
What's up, man? Living good, living good.
All right. You got the blur going on in the background. Is that what's up? What's up with that?
Blur.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I think it just was just leftover setting, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
He likes to highlight his good looks. So
that's what I'm saying. He's like standing out. You know what I mean? It's like I can't focus on anything else, you know, but his charm right now, you know. So, and that's why we have him on the show. So, all right, well, let's keep it moving.
It's definitely not for domaining expertise. That's for sure.
No, let's go. Hey, you know, it's cool. You're like in some kind of, you are in the metaverse right now. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what it is. All right. To my lower right, we got my boy Amar Kuba. You know, Amar, last time you were on the show, man, you were kind of like, you know, the AKs. Cause I mean, so I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like maybe no AKs for you, no soup for you this show. You know what I'm saying?
Bro.
I'm just playing, AKA Danny Ocean, AKA the even greater Gatsby, AKA Amarzan, AKA Kubra Libre, AKA Kuba Kai, AKA Kuba Commander. What's up, man?
What's up, bro? Good to see you guys.
Live from Las Vegas. Just doing it big. That's why the Danny Ocean reference. Well, glad to have you, my dude, as always. And then last but certainly not least, below me, we got my boy Andrew Rosner, aka Morpheus, aka the Dirk Diggler of digital assets, aka the sniper Bob Lee Swagger, aka Drew. Drew got what I need, aka every Rosner has its thorn, aka Drew Turn, aka never gonna give Drew up, get rickrolled, aka Blackbeard the domain pirate, aka Cancel Adams. It's kind of like an Ansel Adams, Cancel Adams. I don't know. It's a work in progress. Every day we try and get better. You know what I'm saying? So what's up, Drew?
All good. Glad to be here.
All
Been
right.
a minute.
All right. Well, let's get it. So those are the Sherpas, and that's it. So little intros, and unless you guys want to jump into anything before we get into the domain game, I think we can slide right into it for the domain maxis out there. They're like, man, these intros already took too long. Get into the info that I need. Get into the alpha.
Right.
You guys ready to dive right
jump.
into the domain game?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's do it. All right. Everybody gather up your stuff. Get ready to go.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Get loose. We're going to start with Josh. What do you got, Josh? You got to buy? You got to sell? What is the what you got for us today?
Bro, I haven't got shit. I haven't got shit.
He's like, I better buy something quick.
No.
I'm going to accept one of these open offers right now.
Go down and kill me, because I was bidding on a couple names last week because I was like, fuck it, why not? Let's have some fun. Obviously, like, I couldn't win anything because they were just absurd. But there was one name that wasn't even good that I got outbid on. It was the letter C and then Bitcoin.com. And like, what it doesn't even mean, it doesn't mean shit, right? If it meant something, it would cost a lot more. But anyway, they emailed me like, oh, the highest bidder didn't pay. You can pick it up for $900. And I was like, fuck, I just want to feel something. Like, fuck it, I'll buy it.
I just want to feel something.
So like, I bought
like
it.
Eddie Murphy and the transvestite hooker.
Cancel Adams, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. That's it. This
So I was like, yeah,
any show could be our last. You know what I mean? That's how we live out here in DomainSherpa.
So the Bitcoin's pronoun is C?
Yeah.
Just
Exactly.
keep push it all down the hill. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? At this point, let's go.
One day it might be something, right? And then anyway, they just emailed me this morning and said they refunded it. So I finally bought a name and they refunded it. So I got everything, right? It was the.
You shouldn't have told us what you bought it for. You could have left that part hanging, and then we could have guessed.
I'll just do a sale. I'll just do a sale.
Even better. Even better.
So a couple. Actually, there's what I sold a .co the other day for a decent price, and like, okay, but actually I really like this name that I sold, ImmersiveInsights.com.
All right, ImmersiveInsights.com. All right, well, Amar, goes to you.
I don't know what it means, but it's provocative.
But it's provocative. Billy, play that clip from Blades of Steel.
I was thinking about the music for our routine.
We're gonna skate to one song only. Lady Humps by the Black Eyed Peas. What you gonna do with all that junk inside my trunk? I'm gonna get you drunk off my lady hump, my lovely lady hump.
I'm not skating to anything with references to lady humps. I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
Let's go. Come on, let's get it popping. We don't even know what it means.
Hey, that's
gets
from
the people
that's
going.
From a song too.
Gets the
that's
people
going. That's from the Kanye song. That's from
Yeah, but it's
Kanye
just
took it from the movie.
He sampled it. Yeah.
Oh,
It's from In Paris, but it's the it's with because Will Ferrell and John Heater in that
Yeah,
skating
it's
movie.
Will Ferrell. Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, "What are you listening to?" "I'm listening to My Humps." "What does that even mean?" He's like, "Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative. It gets the people going." We're gonna skate to one song and one song only. And I'll tell you though, Kanye and Jay used it. And that joint bumps too, man. That's the joint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So.
All
I can't
right, so
say the
Billy's
title,
gonna
you know what I'm
put
saying?
that in.
I can't say the title, but I do love it.
Drew can, and he'll get canceled. So
The cancelator.
So that's a long domain. It is provocative though. So I'm gonna go with 7888.
7888. Wow. All right. So that's where we're at. Almost $8,000. Assuming you don't mean $78.88,
No.
right? All right. So then, Drew, man, what do you think?
You sold this or bought it?
He sold it.
Yeah, it's probably a good guess. I don't remember the freaking domain name anymore. What is the domain again?
Maybe Drew's high-on-weed.com.
Hey, we are not on the list yet. We're not on the NameJet
sorry,
list.
bro.
Save that. That's a spoiler alert right there. Spoiler alert.
Sorry, bro.
ImmersiveInsights.com. ImmersiveInsights.com.
Immersive Insights. I'm going to say $4,999.
$4,999. Yeah, I mean, this one is definitely, one of those names that Josh, and this is what I love to do. I love to give the full breakdown. Josh bought this name on GoDaddy auctions or NameJet or something, and he paid probably like $100 or $200 for it. And but I think he sold it for a bit less. I'm going to go with $2,999 because it was definitely one of those that he listed for sale after Nick or Dan or something like that. And then, and then somebody came along and said, that's the name for my new business. And, I want to give people I want people to be immersed in my insights that I give them. So I need immersiveinsights.com. And then he said he bought it for $2,999. All right.
Yeah. JT wins. It was $2,750. But yeah, I just paid
It
$10
gets the people
for it.
going.
$10.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's like all of these sales that I'm getting today. Like I can't sell anything for a large amount of money right now. It's just these little pea shooters every month right now.
Yeah, but I mean, but that does enough, right? I mean, what'd you buy it for?
Yeah, $10. Just like those.
Even better.
That's like
$10
I would say
into
like
$3,000.
out of my portfolio, which is like I don't know, like 4,000. Probably like 3,500 of them were like purchased between $8 and $50, and they're the ones that sell for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I went through a period of like registering and buying any keywords that met like a certain thing. So I used to have like a bunch of filters set up on expired domains that would be like 2word.coms ending in like various different things. So like financial insights, like I had like 50 different endings, like solutions, systems. And then I would just look on that every single day, see what was there and buy any kind of good keyword that matched up well with that. So I just have like thousands of those type of names and they sell all the time. So
yeah.
Are those kind of names still available, Josh?
No. I think
so,
the reason why I'm not buying them, reason why I'm not buying names anymore is because I talked to like a lot about all this kind of shit when I was doing my podcast. When I did like 100 episodes in 100 days.
Back when you used to podcast, remember that was what I'm saying?
But I talked extensively about like how I went about the lower kind of end of domaining and how it was like growing my portfolio at that time. And I think everyone just copied what I was doing and those names are never available anymore.
Well, and I think that's interesting, and it's an interesting sort of broader piece to what we do. I mean, when we're up here, we're doing our show, and we're providing all of this like insight into how we operate and how everybody does and runs their. But it's really a testament to all you guys for taking the time to help to educate people and give them these tips, because you're doing it in some ways competitively against yourself and to your own detriment, right? But yeah. Here we are, right? And it's like, so put some respect on Josh's name. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. And but hey, turning $10 into 3 G's is, do that all day, man. Let's go. So but what do you guys think?
Names turn like relatively quickly as well. I mean, if you look on like LinkedIn or Crunchbase or whatever, like it's they go for the IO, the co, and then and then if they can't get that, they're going for like keyword plus, solutions, systems, all of that kind of thing, right? Or tech, or like, so like if you get like those I would say like 30 different second word, I don't know what you would call them, like descriptive words. And then just pair them with literally any type of brand that you see as a popular brand name. It could be like peach, it could be like lemon. So like if I saw like peachsolutions.com, like I would like buy that shit all day, like all of those kind of things, you know.
Peach
like
Solutions, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Like it sounds like nothing, right? It's like a shit name, but I would buy it for $10 and put it for $3,000, and like I guarantee at some point that name is going to sell.
Hey man, you know, I think I need that name for my new business, man.
Peachsolutions.com, I believe, is available, Josh.
There we go. Let's get not anymore. So. Not anymore. It's gone.
I would be surprised. Like, I don't know.
It's like, not resolving. It's not resolving. Let's see. Peach Solutions. Yeah. It is taken. You're right, but it's. I would
be super surprised. Like figure out. That's your mission, Amar, for the show. Try to figure out a really like top end brand like Peach, right? Which is like going to be so like Peach is going to be taken in like 200 SL in 200 different TLDs, right? Like Co, IO, like they're all going to be like taken and developed. If you compare like more
like 400.
Yeah, or like 300, whatever. But if you compare like a brand name like Peach or like Bloom, right? Bloom is like another one, like with a
249. 249.
Yeah. So pair it with like an ending like tech or solutions or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's game. Like they're never available. You can't get them. Yeah. And then they get bid. Now they get bid up to like $300, $400, $500.
Clear has 446.
Damn.
That's a great name. I wonder who owns that.
I wonder who owns clear.com. You know what I'm saying?
One lucky mofo.
Yeah, like who's got that, dog? That's like,
look, even voice, the highest public domain sale ever, has 387. 387.
Oh, that'd be how do
you like them apples?
How do you like them peaches? That was good, man. That tied it together really well. I feel like that didn't get the kind of reaction from the guys on the right of my screen. But it's fine. It's cool because it's all good, you know.
Hey, how many does Clear have?
400 and some, right? You just
446.
446.
Oh, Billy, put 446 big on the screen.
Let's see who can beat. Can you come up with a word that might beat 446 other than sex? Let's see what sex is. Ah, man, we crushed sex. Sex is 434.
Ooh,
we got
look
446.
Drew, why did you?
I dare you. Come up with a word that has more than 446.
All right.
Why'd you change strategies on Clear? Why have you got a for sale landing page now?
Because I don't want to be trying to market multiple brands anymore. I just want to consolidate. So should we put our recent discussion up for some discussion?
Yeah, you weren't trying to market another brand anyway, were you? I mean, that wasn't.
Yeah. We were marketing Clear as our like white glove. Make your brand clear, and it was like
the clear
whole
choice.
Life cycle of the brand. Yeah, clear. Like basically get you everything, the social media handles. The whole kit and caboodle of the brand.
That kind of like when you take off and you get clear of everything.
And the reality is like that whole business sucks. And yeah, keep it simple. Just sell good domains for high prices. That's the business.
That is the business. So.
That's the one that works. That's the one that works.
That's good. It's a good business. It's a good business.
Good one. I like it.
What was this? What discussion did you want to get into? Are we talking about like state of the market, or what are you?
That's gonna be. That's a much longer conversation, I think.
Well, Josh did mention though. He said, lately that's been the smaller sales have been what he's been seeing. I mean, you guys want to talk on that really quick as far as what you guys are seeing? Are you seeing a little bit? It seems like we went from, the summer was slow and, obviously we were dealing with broader economic, factors dragging things down. Interest rates went up.
We were?
Well, I guess that's the question, right?
Were?
I mean, are we seeing?
I would say, like the summer was just sort of like dipping the toes in the water. And now we're starting to deal with more like broad-based macro, headwinds that are going to go from a tropical storm to a category 5 hurricane that's going to flatten 40% of American companies over the course of the next 18 months.
I mean, that sounds. We have a hurricane coming here, and that's going to hit Florida here in the next 24 hours. I guess by the time the show airs, we'll either still be standing or we won't. You know, even though it's So
listen, Hurricane Powell is going to make Hurricane Ian look like fucking child. It's going to look like somebody farted. It's going to be nothing. You know.
But I have seen some people posting Mark Levine, Tony Domains, you know, like basically posting that they had the best month of the year this past month. You know, so some folks.
Yeah, I mean, we actually had a great September. I mean, you know, what was it, June or July?
July was ugly.
July was the worst month in the history of our company. Like, it's not even. I'm not even going to play. Like, it was ridiculous. It was so bad. It was just ridiculous. It was like, I don't even know how a company that's been around as long as we have, that we've done such consistent business for as long as we have. It was like, whoa, that was pretty shocking. But then August was fine. August was a good month. September was a great month. So, you know, but I would say that was an indication of things to come. It was people, that was the moment that people hit the brakes. And then, you know, when you slam on the brakes, you then ease off of them, and then you gradually start, you know, easing back down. And so, you know, we slammed the brakes the end of June, July, and I think that, you know, we're gradually going to start easing the floor, you know, the brake pedal back to the floor. Just not. It's going to be a slow bloodletting. You know, slow incremental bloodletting, and then sudden bleed out, and then, you know, and then
probably ramp back up once people start feeling a little adventurous.
Actually, I disagree. I think that the ramp back up is going to be insanely fast, because you have there's something like $300 trillion in global capital sitting on the sidelines, and you know.
But it's going to take time for people to feel safe again after they get completely fucked.
Well, what's going to happen though is like this is really binary, right? So basically, the Fed has got blinders on. They're looking in the rearview mirror for data, and so they're going to go cannonball run. We are on a singular mission to stamp out inflation, and we don't even want to hear about anything else. We don't care about your stock portfolio. We don't care about your house. None of that fucking matters until we can look up and go, okay, inflation is done for. The result of that, and because the data they use is always backward looking, is that they overshoot. In every single case, historically, you can go back, there's 0 cases in which they didn't overshoot on the upside or the downside. And so they're going to overshoot, and we're going to get stomped into the floor, and they're going to go, oh, we went too far. Look at that. And then it's going to be, well, the only way to get us back on our feet is to just hit the throttle. And so it's slam the brakes and then hit the throttle. And
I think it's from the consumer mentality side that I think people don't go like that, right?
Oh,
they don't go from zero to euphoria. You know, like that. It's going to take a little bit of time for people to feel like safe.
Yeah, but I'm talking financial markets, because primarily we're talking about how it pertains to domain names. And ultimately, this is going to be driven by venture capital. And venture capital is going to respond to, you know, market conditions. So, but I agree. Yeah. I think that all of this is going to set back consumer sentiment like a decade or more, because people are going to be sort of, you know, shell shocked.
I think next year is going to suck. My current thinking is the next 12 months is going to suck, and then I think late next year, early 2025, people start feeling better. I think it's going to require an extended period of feeling shitty, and then people will start. I think things will start to look up and. But it depends on when.
Yeah, I think
out.
Late.
If they drag out this bottoming out process, then that timeline could get extended. But I just want it to bottom, right? Like we need.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's just,
Yeah.
and then start fresh, right? And that's what everybody wants. The problem is that to get to that point, it's not
Well,
as easy.
they're not
as
going to
just-
let that happen until after the midterms.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
so,
Exactly.
I think,
Yeah, exactly.
the beginning of the bottom is like January, February, and then we'll see. But I think that bottom will be, it's not going to be a V-shaped bottom.
Yeah. So then the big question then for our audience is, what does this mean for domain names?
I think it's an opportunity
To buy,
yeah.
to put on your buying hat and
right. It's an opportunity to buy, but you also have to be smart about it, right? Like
stay in
first of all,
cash.
You can't time it perfectly.
Nope.
Just like anything, you can't. It's almost impossible to time the actual bottom, right? And you also have to be opportunistic. So, one person selling a premium name is different than person B selling that same premium name. It depends on their circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're ready, like Drew said, you got to have cash, you got to have the ability. Then I think you can find some good deals. And but I've slowed down on the buying. I'm just kind of waiting and watching, and I'm also focusing more on like what I want to focus more on the top end.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to get rid of the lower stuff, it's the lower stuff that's going to come back sooner, right? Like that's in my opinion.
Maybe.
I think because remember after in
I
recessions,
want to agree.
yeah.
But okay, good. No, tell me your stance first.
I was going to say in recessions, right? That's where a lot of new businesses come out and entrepreneurs get started, and an entrepreneur that's out of work or something is not going to start out with a $50,000 or $100,000 name. They're going to start out with a $2,500 name, $5,000 name. So I think that lower end of the market is going to come back sooner. You'll start seeing action there first, and then it'll, obviously, like Drew said, it's going to come back. It'll, get to where the big money's at, right? And when people start feeling comfortable, like VCs and CEOs are scared to spend money because they're going to get shit on by their investors, right? Yeah. They have to be in money preservation mode, so they have to wait before they can pull the trigger on a big purchase.
I think on the back of this, once we get into that recovery, I think that I'll buy that. I'll buy what you're saying, what you're selling there. But I think it'll be a barbell strategy, right? Like, so I think you're right. There'll be lots of small business creation that are with no funding, right? So it's some entrepreneur and his own money. And so he's looking for that few $100, few $1,000 domain name. So having a portfolio of those, putting buy it now prices on them, good strategy. But I think that the middle ground will be dead because there's going to be, I think that what we're going to find is that there's going to be more venture capital funding than ever going into much, much, much fewer names. Like maybe 20, 30, 40% max of the amount of companies that got funded before are now going to be funded, but it'll be bigger checks going into fewer companies. And so we're going to see, I think, the ultra premium names are going to outperform. And then I think you're probably right. I think the other side of the barbell, the smaller names that people can buy for fixed price and not negotiating, it's come in, buy it now, $800 to, $5,000. Those are going to do well too. But right. I think that on the VC side, if we're, on the premium side, it's not, mid-grade names are probably going to be hard because I think a lot less companies are going to get venture funding. And so it's only going to be the really successful ones with really clear models that are going to get the funding, and they're going to get more funding than they did before. And so they're going to buy, the best names.
It's a winner's circle type of environment for sure. I think let's keep it moving, but I think this was good, and consistent with what we've seen even other people in the domain space talk about. Elliot Silver recently wrote an article echoing some of Rick Schwartz's comments about cash being king and some of the same thing. And so I think it's interesting, there's definitely, we've all been doing this a long time, and everybody's sort of, is reading the tea leaves the same way and seeing the same stuff. So, it's not surprising that everybody kind of, sort of in the same camp. But, interesting insights, immersive insights, I think you would say, and we got immersed. So let's keep it moving. And I think, Amar, we're up to you, man. Buy or sell. What do you got? We're still in the domain game, by the way, and I'm up 1-0. So let's see what's good. What do you got?
I was so immersed in that conversation. Let me see if I can find something. So I have a name. It was a payment plan, but we'll just they've already started, and I'm pretty sure they're going to complete. So we'll just go with that because I think it actually will make a point of what we were talking about just now. So the name is blockchat.io.
Blockchat.io. All right, Drew, it's on you. Blockchat.io.
Again, it was a payment plan, but
yeah. Okay. Blockchat.io. I'm going to say $15,000.
All right, 15. I think this is, obviously it's got to be a value to justify a payment plan, right? Looking at the name and what I would, think it'd be worth. I think it's a really good name. I think it's right in the sort of the wheelhouse of the .io, adoption within, crypto and the Web3 space. I think more valuable than kind of where Drew pinned it. And again, the payment plan to me makes it like, kind of. So I'm going to say this is more like at least a $20K kind of deal, maybe a bit more. I'm going to say $24K on a 2-year payment plan kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at. Young plucky startup trying to make it work here in this crazy environment, crazy world.
What did you say? What number?
24,000 is what I said. And I even went further to describe the payment plan.
It was plucky.
and to describe the buyer, you know what I mean? So, but I dig it. I could see this being some kind of blockchain based, sort of text thing, and cool idea around how to, maybe tie together some, Web3 projects or something, or create some way for folks to communicate with one another utilizing blockchain technology. I dig it. Privacy matters. And with that, I'm gonna pass it over to my boy Josh. What do you think, man?
And I think I'm in the wrong room, man. That's what I think. I think Amar is just a beast selling that name on a payment plan, because I would have priced that shit at $1,500 and been happy with the sale. but this mofo probably sold that shit for like $20K. And yeah, I'm gonna say he sold it for $20K. He got like $10K down, and the guy's gonna give him $4K a month for the next 3 months or something.
All right. So 20K was my original thought. But all right, go ahead.
Okay. So JT is 2-0. I sold it for so I sold it on Dan for the price was 25, but then Dan adds the extra bit. So there's 2 lessons to come from this sale. Number one, check out your first of all, number one lesson is payment plans do work, and they do sell names that wouldn't otherwise sell for more money, for sure. Number two, check your settings on your Dan account, because I went through, and I'm just everybody knows I'm completely disorganized with my portfolio, and I just throw shit in and I don't even know what's in there. But so I had names at like $990 that I had like 24 or 10 1-year payment plan on. And then I had like, you can actually they have a really good system where you can filter your names by price and then adjust the maximum number of months per range. And that's what I went in and did. But so that's the lesson.
What's it on what system?
Dan.
Oh.
So they let you do, so like I would say anything from I think where I ended up was $50K. I would let people have either 24 or 36 months. I don't remember what it was. And then anything $100K or more, I think I would let them go up to 48 months. I don't have anything above 48 months. And then anything, 5K or less, I think 5K No, 2,500 or less, no payment plan. Up to 10K, I think I would do 12 months. But anyway, so however you want to segregate that, you should do it. They make it really easy, but definitely check it out because my stuff was just all over the place. And I wouldn't have allowed such a long payment plan on this name, but it did sell. And so
but why not? My thinking on this continues to evolve, and the more and where it's evolving to is like basically actually, we should really just let the people, I would say with the exception of the really irreplaceable one-of-one killer.coms, it's like, all right, you want this name, this $5,000 name, you don't want to pay $5,000, like, pay $25 a month. I'm going to mark it up 10% a year, pay $25 a month as long as I'm not managing the payment processing. Like,
right.
You can have.
And so Dan makes it.
I don't care. 10 years, take it. Go ahead. 10 years. Like,
I disagree. I think there's a sweet spot, but I agree with your general thinking, right? Which is it's fine. And that's why obviously I'm not upset about it. And I do actually have names that I'm getting like $90 a month or $99 a month.
Yeah.
So it's kind of annoying, but it's at the same time, you don't really have to do any work. It's more like the keeping track of it, I guess, or whatever. But yes, I agree with you in general sentiment, but I think there's a psychology too, where, first of all, we were talking about cash is king, right? So you'd rather have your cash sooner than later, number one. And I think, for instance, that name, I think they did 48 months, right? Mm-hmm. For a 25K name, I think is too long, right? I think they still would have pulled the trigger at probably 24 months, right? And then, I'd be having double the payments. So I think there's a sweet spot, and there's probably psychological studies that'll show kind of how to manage that. But overall, my point is, I think payment plans are fantastic for it's going to really continue, I think, to propel our industry, and especially in recession. That's where I think you'll be able to get what Drew was talking about, the mid-tier
100%.
names. I think mid-tier names that would have previously been unattainable to a startup, let's say a 50K name, they're like somebody who's just starting. He's like, no, I can't throw down 50K, but maybe I can do 1,000 a month, right, to test out my idea, right? So I think it makes everything more attainable. So I think they're great overall. My only point was you should look at your settings and make sure you're okay with them, right? So Drew's fine with getting 10 years worth of payments for $1,000 name. I prefer to get my payments sooner, but within reason, right? Like I don't mind waiting. But,
the nuance to that is just that, like, I'm not a bank, and so it's going to cost 10% a year.
Yeah.
So that's fine, you're going to pay me, $100 a year in interest, and
right.
That's fine.
Right. Yeah. So all I'm saying is there's probably a sweet spot, right?
If you own 5 names, like that doesn't make any sense. But if you've got thousands and thousands of names, and I think that just building that pipeline of payments is great, especially in downturns, because
Agreed.
Well, and especially in the domain space, right? And for the business that we're in, when we're talking about domain sales, right? And especially in the aftermarket, right? We're not talking, and you're not in an expiry stream. So, we don't have a recurring subscription model type revenue involved, right? So instead it's kind of as these sales come and go, right? It does start to help to level off the, your month to month, right? And it gives you at least a little bit of consistency across that time frame, which I think is cool, which is, and that juice is worth the squeeze. All right. So cool. So no, that's good feedback. All right. So Drew, what do you got? You got a buy or a sell? Because it's 2-0. Ready to bring this home, baby. You know what I'm saying?
This dude, he cheats, man. I know it.
How do I cheat? What are you talking about? How about a little credit? How about I was right on both the last two? Seriously,
before we move on real quick, blockchat.xyz, less than $1,000. Buy it now.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So
That's really interesting. So actually, that would be let's talk about that if we have time a little bit later. I'm curious what you guys are seeing on the IO versus XYZ. But
I've made my stance known.
yeah, we can talk about it right now. We don't need to wait. You know what I mean? It's all good.
Okay.
If you want, like, I mean, I think that we're seeing it start to, where IO was kind of the extension of choice with respect to a lot of the Web3 NFT crypto companies, but XYZ over the last 6 months to a year has taken, to me, I mean, and some of this is anecdotal, I'm not looking at any data, but without a doubt we're seeing a lot more XYZ names popping up in the space that would have otherwise been, in my opinion, would have been IOs, so I think that
I go to a lot of these like crypto meetups here in Lisbon. There's an enormous crypto community here, and like people are like, oh, you're the domain guy. You're like, yo, do you have any good .xyzs? And it's like, so I called the top. As far as I'm concerned, I literally put a pin in it. I nailed the top. I called the top on .io whenever that was, right here on this show. I got the receipts.
He got the receipts. I'm like his hype man right now. I'm like, you got the receipts. Tell him.
Look, I think XYZ is definitely having its moment. I would say XYZ is the new IO. I think XYZ is better than IO simply for the reason that it is actually a GTLD and not a CCTLD.
So that's the only reason that's the point I do agree with you, but I think IO still probably has more legs, but I think the reason I like
because
it's a CC. It's not subject to the whims of
Indian
the country.
Ocean.
Yeah,
Indian Ocean, baby.
That's a real stable place. You got Sri Lanka, going Civil War.
Right.
It's like
No, I agree with you. That's the risk. That's the risk.
So yeah,
but Josh,
I think
Josh doesn't agree.
IO is the
I just think that IO. I just don't think that IO has like fallen off a cliff. I think that IO is pretty fucking strong still, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Gosh, your colors, you're blurring into your background somehow. Like it's like you're changing. Like as it's going, it's like he's even more like abstract. It's pretty soon he's just a cloud. He's just a cloud. But no, I would agree. Look, I agree. I mean, I think like Drew said, he kind of called the top, which was also right around the top of a lot of the other, irrational exuberance around a lot of the stuff that we're, involved with, right? But I don't think IO has gone away. I think IO is still a viable alternative for a lot of folks. But I just think XYZ has made a lot of headway with folks that have adopted it.
If we were looking at a curve, if we were looking at a chart, right? It's like IO went like this, right? And then it got to the top of that S curve and it's sort of plateauing. And at the same time that it's plateauing, which, this is the registration body under here, right? So it's like, it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It started plateauing. There's still a lot of fucking space here, a lot of registrations, right? But at the same time, XYZ is now in the parabolic growth so it's smaller than the IO, maybe. Actually, I don't even know what the numbers are. But I think that the trajectory of XYZ is up.
Smaller. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's bigger registration
is
base.
more rapid.
Yeah. But here's what I'll say.
I think wholesale ranges now with XYZ and IO are like in a very similar like territory for like the top names. But I think that general usage and adoption and take the crypto Web3 world out of it, and you've still got IOs selling for 6 figures.
Right. So that's what I was going to say is I think the difference is XYZ is limited in scope, right? It's only, from what I've seen, going to be used
Web3.
For Web3, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with the exception of a few, outliers, it's generally going to be
with the exception
Web3.
of Google.
Alphabet.
They're not using it. Block, you could argue, is maybe using it, but Google's not using it.
Yeah.
And even Block, they're not really using it, right? So, whereas IO does have a lot more real world use, but again, in Web3, 100%, I've seen it. right? I just have, it's not closed yet, but I have a relatively big .xyz sale, which shocked me, right? And it's a.
How do you run so good, Amar? How do you run so good? When did you get into XYZ?
I bought XYZ way back, but not a lot. Not a lot of them, but I bought some very selective ones, and
some monstrous ones, huh?
No, not really. I mean, this one I like, but I never. I was wrong on XYZ. I thought it was going to be used mostly for individual, like, you know, millennials wanting to have their own personal brand, right? So like I bought Jasmine.xyz for my sister, you know, and, you know, stuff like that, right? And so that's what I thought it was going to be, because they were really targeting that audience. Nobody could, I don't think anybody could have seen, oh, it's going to be, you know, the extension of choice for Web3.
The new darling of, Web3 and crypto.
Niche adoption is absolutely the way to go, though, right? So it's like when IO was kind of like going through that phase, it was, you know, a select type of tech company coming out of Silicon Valley, like very largely like those kind of California-based type companies. And then, you know, it starts to expand out a little bit from there. I'm sure XYZ will be the same. You know, it finds its niche in Web3, and then I think that you'll probably see it expand out into a broader tech spectrum after.
I would actually argue that everything you're talking about was actually the precursor to that was the last or second to last crypto bull market, right? Like all the ICOs, that is actually, in my opinion, where I began to notice .io actually really gaining traction. It was all the all the ICOs. It was all these shit coins. You know, it was, what was it, 2,500 of them or something that launched over the course of 12 months from 2016 to 17 or so. And I think that is when we really saw .io get into your face. And then I think it actually went from the ICO market to the legitimate startup market. And then, you know, people actually sort of thinking this was something, you know, a little bit more legit that you could actually build a business on until the rug got pulled out from under.
Right. But do you think that there's a certain element of .ios, they like these Web3 companies maybe wanted initially to get a .io, then assholes like us had them priced too high. They're like, okay, well, what can we try? What else is there? Then they got to .xyz. And I think the same thing's going to happen. Now all the .xyzs are going to be priced, the good ones are going to be priced too high. And somebody's going to be like, fuck, let me launch on a .to, right? Like,
dude, listen, this is what I've been saying. This is what I've been saying for years. Is like, as long as you're competing for second place, like you have no future. You are subject to disruption because as you become more popular, your own success is your defeat. As you become more popular and people start raising the prices, the only reason they're going for .io, it's not their first choice. If you think anybody's first choice was IO or XYZ, you're an idiot. Like literally, you're an incurable moron. And so, like,
insufferable. Let's go with insufferable.
Tell me how you really feel.
Insufferable and incurable. Like, no, because I get attacked by people. Like they're like, no, it's like, no, this was nobody's first choice ever.
Right.
Like,
of course, but we all know.
They chose that because they couldn't get the .com. Period. Full stop. End of story. And so, like, if that's the case, which it is, then, like, basically, my estimation is about between 5 and 10% of the .com price is where you hit a ceiling, depending on the utility, depending on replaceability, depending on a whole bunch of other factors. You get between 5 and 10% of what the .com should cost, even if it's not available. And at that point, you go, I'm willing to pay 5 to 10% to get my second choice. But beyond that, I'm going to go to the third choice, whatever that might be. Maybe it's .io, maybe it's .co, maybe it's .net, maybe it's .org, maybe it's .to, maybe it's .horse. Who knows? But there is a third choice for everybody that is going to be acceptable at a certain price relative to the next option. You know, there's an old saying. It's like, you're only as valuable as the next best option. And so if you're competing for second place, you're always only as valuable as some unknown premium to the next best option.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what people really want is the .com. So
Well,
like
Drew,
everybody thinking that like there's no ceiling on a .io or a .xyz, literally like hate to shatter your glass.
totally wrong. Yeah,
but
totally wrong.
Totally wrong.
Yeah. So I agree with pretty much everything you just said. What I'll say though, that I don't think any of us can really know definitively is over time, I believe that perception will change. It may not be 5 years from now, but I think 10, 20 years from now, assuming there hasn't been some other crazy shift in technology, that I still believe .com will be the number one, but I believe it'll be more fungible, right? So I think right now it is so clear that .com is where you want to be. I just think in 10 years, 20 years, you know, who knows if ICANN's had another round or not, but I think it'll just be, it'll be like less of a thing. It'll be less of a thing to be on the com.
I will give you that as a maybe. Okay. I'm willing to accept that over, let's say, the next round, or more likely the next 2 rounds, if we get that, of new GTLDs, that at some level, a left and right, you know, a domain hack, where the left of the dot is fitting, you know, green dot house.
I'm not even talking about that.
I think that's the only situation that makes any sense, right? So then we start.
So you're saying I'm an
an
insufferable moron, is what you're saying?
An incurable idiot is what he said. An incurable idiot.
I'm saying that you are kept up at night by these poltergeists that challenge your view on, you know, these valuable holdings that you have, in the same way that I am. But I fundamentally believe that all of this stuff is dictated by network effects. And that network effect is a flywheel that just keeps turning and turning and turning. And thus far, I see unequivocally, absolutely zero sign that flywheel is slowing down or that anything has changed. And I would argue that although I am far from definitive looking out, let's say 20 years, as you said, and I think that there is a potential for more fungibility, although I definitely agree nothing will ever replace .com, but there may be more fungibility in the options that you're choosing. But I think that the reality is that the higher probability is that .com just continues the exact same network effect and flywheel effect in perpetuity. And I lost my train of thought on the reason why, but hold on.
Well, either way, I think that, you know, one interesting thing while Drew tries to find the thread that he lost, but but I was feeling you, man. I was up until that point that you just lost it, you know. But
yeah. It was like the wind came out my sails.
Well, I think that until you have an actual shift in the way people use the internet, right? So whether that's through the blockchain domain, something like that.
We don't know, right? That's the part we don't know what the internet's going to look like in 10 or 20 years.
Oh, I know. So the reason I think it's a much higher probability that .com just perpetuates is because more options create more confusion. And if we look at fundamentally, if we just ask ourselves, we step back from this, you know, mental masturbation and we, you know, about what we own and, you know, biased thinking. It's like, okay, what's actually the whole point of a domain name? And literally like the fundamental first principle reason domains exist is to create a human readable way to navigate and organize the internet. And so like, all of that leads one to, like, let's say the concise word to explain all of that is clarity, right? Things need to be clear. Brands need to be clear. And so if that's the case, then having standards because ultimately standards are ultimately like what make things valuable, right? If there's no standard, then it's like a free for all. But the standard, having .com as the standard, creates clarity among the chaos of, let's just call it infinite domain extensions, where there is already a .attorney and a .lawyer and a .law and a .attorneys and a .lawyers and a .abogado. Right. And let's say there's 6 options just in the legal realm, okay?
Yeah.
So in a world where there's 6 options just in the legal realm, like that creates immense amounts of consumer confusion, because I can't remember if my lawyer is, JLS.law, JLS.legal, JLS.lawyer, JLS.attorney, JLS. Whatever. Yeah. And so being JLS.com makes that's maximum clear. So I think that if we look at it from a first principle standpoint, the reason for domains to exist in the, at all is to create organization clarity. And so the standard, which will provide maximum amount of organization and clarity, will be .com, because it always has been. And there will be more fungible options available as we double, triple the amount of users and businesses on the internet. There will need to be more fungible options available to them. But ultimately, the big daddy that everybody's going to, strive for, grow into, if you will, is going to be the .com. And I really don't see anything on the horizon that'll disrupt that, even theoretically. But I do think that we are 20 years away at a minimum. And, every day that clock restarts. It's like, without any question, there is nothing over the next 10 years that would disrupt the domain name ecosystem. And, I don't see anything over the next 20 years. And I think every day, you can wake up and reset that clock and go, all right, until somebody demonstrates to me, like, I think it's a 15 to 20 year cycle, like from the day that you and I, the day that we get on this podcast, we go, guys, did you see this? And this is maybe problematic. This might actually, hurt domain names long-term or disrupt the way we use the internet, et cetera. I think from the moment we see that, it's at least 10, probably more like 15 to 20 years before it actually gets into the public consciousness and becomes disruptive.
I think you're right. Like I said, I was just saying,
that's
out. We just don't know.
Of course, we don't know what we don't know, so that, but either way, these are immersive insights, and I think that's the, that's what we're here for.
The new
and we're still not out of the domain game, guys.
Reality.
We gotta move because we gotta finish the domain game. You gotta buy or sell, Drew, and then let's get into this NameJet gonna jet. So but
you've already won, JT.
This is great insight. I already won, but I don't want to take my victory lap yet.
All right.
Let's hear that big buy. Come on.
Spill. All right. How about spill.com?
Spill.com.
Buy.
I'm out on this one. So
Spill the beans.
Who's first?
So it's really Josh and then Namar.
Josh. Okay. Yeah.
Why? Wait, you actually do you know what?
I'm not 100% sure, but if I guess and then I'm right, you're going to be all like, "Oh, you knew it," and you know what I mean. So I'm just gonna.
I actually don't think you know this one though. I don't. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I talked about it with you.
Go, Josh.
40K.
No, he paid less. He paid. I think. I like the name. But I think Drew paid less. I'm going to say 25K.
25.
I can say 30K.
All right. So we got a 30 and a 40. Spill.com.
Spill the beans.
Oh,
Drew.
man. You guys are making me feel horrible. It's been a long time. I paid 60.
Oh,
I thought that was a steal. I thought that was a great deal. Where are you finding a 5-letter.com killer word like spill for 30 grand? Because
I said it's a great name.
I need to find that market.
Yeah.
No, I said it's a great name, but I was going based on what I thought we were talking about you need to make money on the buy, and right now is all the opportunities and blah 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 blah. So that's where my head was at. But tell me, like, what's your ideal buyer for Spill?
Venture-backed startup called Spill.
I understand that. And what does Spill do?
They spill the beans. I don't know, man. I have no idea. Some of these names obviously have clear, utility.
Right. I like the brand. I just
Spill.
don't know what it does.
Yeah. Spill over, spill, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's like Acorn app, right? Spill. It's Acorn app. You spill some of that excess cash into savings.
Yeah, and look, there's no shortage of uses for it. I just don't know what it is. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
No, he does sign language.
Oh no.
Oh, this is.
Are you talking, JT?
We can't hear you, bro. You look.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a first. We're going to have a DomainSherpa episode where our host is on mute.
Oh no!
No, you out. You out.
Billy, fix this, bro.
No. So we can talk all sorts of shit to
All
JT,
right,
and he
well,
can't say anything back.
All right.
How about now?
What about M?
You're back. You're back.
Yeah, but now I'm using my computer mic. For some reason, it's my big mic. Something's going, but I didn't change any of the settings while we were talking. But
Big Mike.
It's
I used to have a friend in college named Big Mike.
Big Mike. Yeah, so let me try. Yeah, so no, that looks like it's working. I don't know what's going on. I won't tinker with this too long, but I would rather.
Oh, you're back.
I would rather.
There you go.
Yeah. I'd rather. Okay, good. Yeah, I'd rather use my real mic than the computer mic. But so here's what I was saying about spill. I think it's one of those words. It's like, okay, you could say there's a bit of a negative connotation to it, but it's also very pop culture. So you do have like a spill the tea, spill the beans. There's kind of like, there's this idea of allowing it to flow over, right? This overflow idea, even like in rap, like, oh, he can spit, he can spill. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of like really kind of a cool connotations that make sense, that work in this idea of flow and idea of like overflow and that kind of thing. So I think there's definitely so to me, I mean, I think it's dope. And yeah, Drew, I did know what it was like, what we paid for it. So, it's good that I didn't participate, because I would have said 60 and you've been like, you motherfucker. So I'm glad that I just want to keep it, upstanding. I don't want anything to besmirch the reputation of DomainSherpa and myself. But all right, cool. Well, look, DomainGame 2100. Josh gets the point. Doesn't matter. I still win. Boom. All good. Let's take a real quick break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up with we still got some time to spend on NameJet and a Jet, do a little bit on grand closing, and then we're going to be out of here on DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. We'll be right back.
MediaOptions is the industry's leading domain broker, specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, MediaOptions offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. MediaOptions believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
All right, everybody, what's up? We are back on DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. We just wrapped up the domain game where I won again. And, wrong sound effect. I went. Nope, I don't know, man. My board is all messed up, man.
What are you, Jim Cramer now, bro?
I'm trying. I literally reorganized my pads. I was trying to get the cheer up in here. Anyway, Billy, give me some applause. You know what I'm saying? Make it happen. Anyway, all right, well, we've got about 10, 15 minutes, and we've got to get through NameJet and a Jet. We've got a list of domains. Let me run through really quick the ground rules so everybody knows. But this section is sponsored by our friends at NameJet. We're going to review a list of domains heading to auction. hear what the Sherpas like, what they don't like. We've got the list. You can go on to the DomainSherpa.com page for this particular episode. Download the spreadsheet. We've got some details. We've got the Esteban appraisals, how many back orders as of the time we put the list together, how many days left in the back order period as of the date the show is going to air. Keep in mind that these are all expiring domains, which means that in order to participate in what will be private auctions, you have to have a back order in before the end of the back order deadline. So, and for all these, they've got multiple back orders. They're all definitely going to go to auction. So make sure you get your back orders in, and we got some other info in there as well to help you all out. So definitely grab the list, check it out, and then all right, guys. Well, let's run through the list. And Amar, let's start with you. There's 18 names, so you can talk about 6 before you get the hook, and we move on to somebody else. But what do you like? What don't you like? What's good?
So I don't like the two that are pretty highly valued on their impressionism and expressionism. I just don't think anybody's ever going to actually build a site on that.
Okay. Well, wait. Let's, I know we're trying to move fast, but let's not, let's make sure people get the full.
I mean, those are art. I assume these are referring to the art movements.
Sure.
Right?
Well, and it's interesting because they both seem to be expiring at the same time. So let's see if they get renewed first of all, right? So you have a registrant who's obviously letting some names go. I would think that these names aren't names that you wouldn't, let go for nothing. So it's possible they'll be renewed, which happens, But yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. Like, what do you use them for? But don't you think there's a bit of a resurgence with digital art and NFTs and Web3 that expressionism?
I do, but I think. Yeah, but I would pick a different brand, right? For my, if I was going to do a startup for Web3 art or any kind of art, right?
Okay.
Like I don't think I'd use one of those two. As I mentioned before we started, Kabbalah is great, but that's an alternate spelling. So, but arguably that's the more clear spelling, even though I think it's the secondary spelling. But so that's a good one. Or
right.
that one definitely
the
has
other
potential.
The other spelling being like the one with 2 B's
With
and
H.
the H and the H at the end, right? So
Exactly.
Which is Jewish mysticism for those of you who But do you think the name itself, though, because it kind of sounds like something people have heard and are familiar with, and it kind of carries this?
That's what I think carries it, right? I think you could get away with branding your company or whatever service because it's the more clear spelling.
And you wouldn't have to be related to the actual, the practice of
no, exactly.
mysticism. It's almost like the idea that it has some of that connotations of kind of like a cool sort of like there's an aesthetic around the name where it's like, oh, we're a blank, like we do this
exactly
something. Yep, I got you.
Right. I think it's kind of a cool name for that reason.
Yep.
And then Krugman is a relatively common last name, I believe. And then the other one I think that could be a sleeper is OsteoHealth, because any kind of those medical names, I could see a big pharma company wanting to own that, right?
Sure. So OsteoHealth, what are you paying for that on NameJet?
What am I paying for it? I don't know. No more than $1,000.
Okay.
But I think that one could easily be, a 5. I don't think it's a 6-figure name, but I think it could be a mid 5-figure name.
Okay.
Or if the right pharma wants it. And especially that's a big thing, right? Is, bone density and health. So that's it. I think that's 6.
Yeah, I think you're right at around the number. Drew, what about you, man? What do you think?
Okay, my favorite name on the list is pest.org.
Great
I
name.
like Krugman.com because I think that Paul Krugman is probably the most ignorant economist on the face of the planet, and I would troll the shit out of him on Krugman.com.
Let's go. So, and you say that because he's an anti-crypto guy, right? But his son is actually, I believe,
he's not only is it an anti-crypto. Before crypto even existed, though, he literally made a living saying exactly the wrong thing. He's not.
But again, I think one of his kids is a crypto dude, and they probably have some interesting conversations at the Thanksgiving table, dinner table. But all right,
yeah. Faculty.org, I like that too. I think the .org matches with the keyword, the SLD. I also really like CEIT, like I don't know what it would stand for, but like you got REIT is a real estate investment trust, CEIT,
crypto estate investment trust.
Yeah, it just looks good. It just looks like it should be something.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I looked it up. So with a couple of things, in the free dictionary, I'm looking at it now. It's like Center for Educational and Informational Technology, Combat Energy and Installation Team, Computer Education and Educational Technology. You know what I mean? There's like
but it's the lines that Drew was talking about. I think people will. I think you could build something on that, and people will associate it with something 100%. Equivalent to a REIT.
Yeah.
Yep. It's already got some baked in, brand semblance there.
Okay. Brand semblance. Ooh, that's like, let's go.
That's bullshit. That's not even a word.
Brand semblance. I'm like, yo, I just learned something that didn't even exist. We just made something up. Put that on the list.
Listen,
put it on the show.
I make shit up on the daily.
Brand semblance. I like
brand semblance. We are experts in brand semblance.
Now Josh is going to go register everything with a semblance.
He's going to put a semblance into his tool. Peach semblance. Peach semblance.
ImmersiveAssemblance.com.
There we go.
Let's see. Brand semblance. Oh, it's not even registered.
There we go. It
really
is now.
Not a thing.
It is now.
Because it's not registered because it actually ain't a thing. Hold on. I want to actually see if I Google this with quotes if there actually is anything. Brand semblance. Let's see. There's one link.
Dude,
brand semblance is awesome with so many pioneering brands to explore. This is some Rajasthan website. Men's brand semblance. All right. So bike polo. I'd like to watch that on TV and be like, Jackass.
Yep. Well, I thought that was an interesting one. It's got a high, Esteban valuation, and I know we say you always take the Esteban stuff with a grain of salt, but but it's like, is bike polo a thing? Like, Well,
the previous owner was United States Bicycle Polo, so I guess it is or was.
It's like, is it like the same people that try to play like Quidditch in college?
They shut
the thing from Harry Potter. You know what I'm saying?
The first 100 people got killed playing bike polo, and it's no longer a sport.
Oh, look at this! I just did a quick look. World Hardcore Bike Polo Championships, 2010, and some stuff from like 15.
And then 2011, people died.
2011 Bike Polo Championships canceled due to serious injury.
Dude, there was only 10% of the players were still able to walk,
able to play. All right, well, cycle
Osteo Health. I hear what you're saying, and I like it. I think it is a nice little name. I felt the same way about all these medical names, though, and we've got a pretty solid medical portfolio, including osteopath.com and osteopathy.com. And they just don't get inquiries, or if they do, it's tire kickers. It's some individual osteopath who they can't afford to.
Right. Well, that's why Osteo Health is not a six-figure name. I'm saying it's probably if I had it, I'd probably price it 25 to 50K, and So
it's kind of like what Braden would say. It's not that the domain's worthless; it's just worth less, right? Shout out to Braden. Or it's as I would say, it's a neat to have, not a need to have. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just, hey, we're working on some things here. You know what I mean? We're trying to build a library of quotables, but it's it's quota semblance, if you will. But yeah, no, I think that's an interesting point that Drew makes that I think is also a cool thing that comes up on the show. It's like, look, you guys have such really good insight over the years into things about and Braden, to mention him. He talks about, the legal names and different things that he has, the .nets, you find out from people in theory, it's like, that sounds like a good name that would have value that people would want to utilize and maybe somebody would want to pay for. And it's like, but when you have them in your portfolio and you can actually tell people, well, no, in reality, we just don't see offers on those types of domains. I think that's an interesting piece of insight for folks, which is cool. So, anyway, what else? Last,
that's pretty much it. I mean,
all right. Well,
rate your date is, that rings a bell, but I just don't know. That's it's like I don't know. It's like high. It's like the rating. It's like Consumer Reports for Tinder or something.
Right. Rate your date, I think, is one of those where we probably got to tread a little lightly around this one. But it's like a mugshots, like type of thing where
Right.
like I can't imagine
No,
that.
remember Hot or Not?
Yeah, kind of, but it's like you said, it's Tinder where it's like you're almost like post Tinder saying, hey, I went on a date with so and so and it was good, bad, ugly, whatever. And it just seems like that would be,
Yeah, it's almost exactly like what I said. Consumer Reports for Tinder.
All right. Yeah. So
has this date been crash safety tested?
Yeah.
I just see that as as an opening for a lot of trouble. All right, Josh, what do you got, man? What do you think about Rate Your Date or other names that have not been discussed or have been discussed?
Honestly, yeah, no, I think going back to what you said, none of them are worthless, but in my opinion, basically all of them are worth less than what you're going to pay.
Yeah.
Like not necessarily what you're going to pay, but in terms of like the ROI that you would want, I can almost guarantee that these are going to go for prices that just wouldn't make sense for me at all. There's nothing.
What do you think? What do you think pest.org is going to go for?
Yeah, that's the one that I don't really know. Pest control is obviously a big thing. I guess you could I think you'll probably get that for less than $5,000. No.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for.
I think it'll go higher. But that is a great one.
I would be pricing that name at like 150,000, and I'm hoping to get it at $5,000, something like that, 7.
Yeah, I would have thought.
I love pest.org.
If we didn't talk about it, it probably goes for
$10,000.
Yeah, I would think for sure. I mean, I just think it's one of those things where, looking at a few recent lick.org, I know it's just, went for.
Yeah, but that's different.
Well, of course it's different.
Yeah,
each domain is a snowflake. This is another one of my things. Each domain is a snowflake. They're all unique. But but I'm just saying it's a 4-character.org that I just pulled out of the recent data set. It sold for $400. You know what I mean? So
listen.
Linda.
That's got nothing to do with fucking nothing. The fact that it's 4 letters, the fact that you pulled it out of your ass, none of that has anything to do with nothing. Like
it doesn't mean shit to a tree, isn't that the?
It doesn't mean shit to a tree. Doesn't. It doesn't.
Right,
the only thing I care about is like how big is the commercial application and how much are advertisers willing to pay.
Right.
And I can tell you that in that field, they're willing to pay a lot. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always say that, this is a perfect example. It's like the stick is more valuable than the carrot. Mm-hmm. And like, if we were to look at, I don't know what the carrot version of pests is, but like when you have a pest, cockroaches, termites, rodents, whatever it's going to be, you think people are haggling over the price? Like, it's like, get to my house and wipe this shit out immediately. You know what I mean? Like this, it's an amazing fucking industry.
Sure. And I'd say there's a handful of situations like that. Like, when your power goes out, when, if your house like floods, if your AC conks out, you know what I'm saying? You have certain scenarios.
Damage repair. It's like the
mold remediation.
Mold remediation. It's like, oh my God. It's like the best business on the planet. Right. You want to do the shit that nobody else wants to do, but you are essential at the time that somebody needs it.
Yeah. No, hey, well, I think that's why there's a whole nother conversation to be had when you talk about like the economy and things like that. Like, the essential jobs, right? Nobody, as businesses start to struggle, a lot of these companies that have become bloated and, people are going to need a lot less account managers and things like that, but people are still going to need as many plumbers and, and AC technicians and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So, which I think is interesting. You talk about sort of like when the real world meets the digital world. So Josh, what else do you like, don't like? I think we got about 5 minutes left here. And Drew started to try to take your spot.
No, all good. I like alphaservices.com. That's like the one name on there that I could see like actual company.
That's like that has you all over it, man. You know what I'm saying? That's like a perfect,
If you need the alpha services, you come right over here. Just come here. I got all the alpha services right here.
It's like the it's the 2-word ending in services. You know what I mean? Starting in
could be a good
keyword alpha. That keyword alpha just gets me like all tingly, right?
We got the alpha here, baby. So
we've got alphax.com.
There you
and
go.
alpha.xyz.
But do you have alpha immersive or
immersive alpha? You need immersive alpha. That's what this is. This whole show.
Insights.
This whole show is immersive
insights,
alpha.
Bro.
If you watch this show in a VR rig, this is immersive alpha right here. All right, what else you like, don't like in these last few moments?
God, I freaking love Alpha Insights. What a name. I want.
Yo. I'm with it.
The other names, honestly, bro, I really don't like any of this shit. I think
Yo, my man just spiked the whole list. He just said, fuck it. He said, look, man, I'm blurred in the background. You can't find me. You can't see me. I'm just going to I'm letting it all go. What about
give me some brand names. I like a good brand name, you know?
That's fair. Yeah, a lot of these are not that. Kabbalah, maybe, you know what I mean?
Kabbalah's brandable.
What about, a lot user friendly-ish?
You're going to be in a clusterfuck of chaos if you brand your company as the wrong spelling of Kabbalah. Like, where are you going with that? You know what I mean?
Okay, all right.
You're
here's the thing.
Walking in circles.
You all of these are very descriptive and user friendly. I used to love names like user friendly. It's just I use that term all the time. But like nobody's calling their company user friendly. That's a problem.
No, I get you. What about bankruptcy specialist though? From a search,
Yeah, that's okay.
That shit's about to be in high demand.
That's what I'm saying. We just went through a whole conversation talking about everybody's financial struggles. Bankruptcy specialist could be,
Dude, I think those
services.
type of names are undervalued. Actually, I do like that type of name. It's like if I'm searching for I don't know bankruptcy specialists, right? So if I'm searching for a bankruptcy specialist and I see bankruptcyspecialist.com, I'm like, okay, I'll give that guy a go.
That's my man.
Yeah, that's my
man. That's it.
That's my guy.
Or if you go to bankruptcy, and you get, or if it's ranked because that's the domain and it goes to somebody's, bankruptcy services. I mean, boom, you know what I mean? It's, an attorney or whatever it might be, or just a directory referring it around. I think that's it.
Bada bing, bada boom.
We talked about some other, there's other random stuff on here, but I agree with you. I think there's not a lot that stands out that's a really great possible brand name.
But don't get me wrong. I'll put all of those in my portfolio. Every single one, I'll put them all in my portfolio, but just I just don't want to pay them for them. I don't want to pay much for them. I'll sell that shit, but I don't want to buy it.
Oh, that's good. That's good. These are the immersive insights that everybody is coming to this show for. So, all right. Well, with that, and then there was also Proyecta, which I kind of.
So, is that a project in another name?
It is. Isn't that the Spanish translation of project?
Well. It's the feminine version, which is the adaptive version. I don't know what the proper grammatic, is for that, but it's not like the whatever you call the original version. It's proyecto.
Yeah.
But, if it was I don't know.
No, I get you. It's almost like a slang version of the word ish. Is that kind of
not slang, but it's like the feminine version. So it's It's like. Yeah, I don't even know if that is.
How do you put a gender on a project?
Yeah, is it the word? Is it the use of the word is used in? What does that mean? It's a feminine version of the word.
Well, so normally that would apply to adjectives, but I don't even know. I think it's just proyecto. I don't know if you would say proyecto.
So in reality, it wouldn't get a lot of use, even though it is a word in that language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know if it is actually. It might just be full out wrong. Let me.
Huh. All right. Well, that's interesting. So then that would be another one so there's a lot of stuff to consider and potentially stay away from.
Proyecta. Let's see, Spanish. That's. Oh, no, you know what? Okay. Actually, it is a real word, but instead of project, which is what I was thinking about, it's project, like a projector.
Like project, or just to project upon.
To demonstrate, exactly.
Got it.
Oh, that's
That's
kind of
not bad.
interesting.
So it is actually the correct spelling, and it means to project.
Got it.
Like a projectile.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Well,
To show off, demonstrate, throw, map out.
I kind of dig that a little bit. So, all right, but also just something another thing for folks to be aware of when they're kind of wading through that stuff. It's like, be careful messing with languages you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you go with what you know. All right. Well, look,
go chasing waterfalls.
Oh,
you guys have. I know we're out of time.
He's projecting his voice right now.
He is. He's projecting it, and it sounds great. We're being serenaded by Drew. Hey, anyone got anything else to close before we go? Otherwise, I know we got to jump here. So,
No,
I apologize. I apologize for breaking up the party early, but
no, we covered a lot of ground. This was a great show. I think appreciate all you guys for being here. And as I say on every show, thank you to the audience. Without you, there's no us. We appreciate you guys taking the time. If you have any feedback on anything we've been talking about, stuff you're seeing in the market, we talked a lot about the status of the market. If you guys are seeing something different, have any other feedback on anything else that we talked about, hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on the site at DomainSherpa.com in the comments. We're not hard to find. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate y'all. And I think that's it. We'll just catch everybody next time here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Peace out, everyone.